We did not plan or build our off-grid tiny house with a baby in mind. But as you know, babies do happen. Yes, baby. And so in this video, we're going to share with you our Montessori-inspired shelving for our 11-month-old in our tiny space. Hi, my name's Carla. Welcome to Off-Grid Tiny Living, where our family shares honest and helpful tips for designing and living in an off-grid tiny house. Today I'm sharing with you our Montessori-inspired shelf setup for our 11-month-old son. As you know, we live in an off-grid tiny house and we did not plan on having a baby and living in this space, but that's what happened. So what we did was we had to allocate a 30-inch by 12-inch space for our baby's play area. That's just to, house his activities and his toys. That's not like the amount of space that he actually plays in. So in this video, that's what we're going to be sharing, is specifically the Montessori-inspired shelving setup for him. We are proof that you can do Montessori anywhere. All right, so let's jump right in. So first off, Montessori, when you get down to the core, is not about all the toys and activities and beautiful shelving that you see on Pinterest. It's about the child and having them grow in a self-sufficient and happy, confident way. So I just want to point out that this video is not all about Montessori. It's just about the shelving unit specifically. So we display a shelving system that is low so that it's visible to Axel at all times. As you can see, Axel can reach and visibly see everything he has on his shelves. So we just purchased a 30-inch by 12-inch, it's like a bench seat. It actually has little drawers on the sides over here and on the other side that open. That's kind of why you have like this thick piece that goes across. And we utilize that for things like teethers or small things that we don't really want him to grab. He hasn't quite figured out that he can open those yet, but we'll have to keep that in mind for when he gets a little older. For all of the items that I discussed, so his toys or activities, I will go ahead and link where you can purchase that in the description box below. We choose to display around 8 to 10 activities or toys for Axel, and we just want to make sure that we're minimizing that visible clutter. We try to display Axel's toys or activities in baskets or trays whenever possible, so you can kind of see these little woven baskets. He really likes these and they're safe, they don't hurt him. Sometimes he chews on them, plays with them by itself, and he kind of stacks them up or throws them, and he enjoys playing with even just the baskets. And then other times we use things like little wooden trays, like the peg toy comes on, and I like to keep these on the bottom shelf just because, it is a piece of hardwood and I don't want it to be on this top shelf and then fall on him when he does pull it down since he is standing. We do try to utilize the Montessori system of categories. So hand-eye coordination, open-ended, science and culture, sensorial, practical life, music, language, and math. But, we don't always have an activity for every category depending on Axel's interest and developmental stage. So for example, we have hand-eye coordination here. These are his puzzles. So it's just a, single shape puzzle. And here's a little egg and cup puzzle that he really likes. And, we're just using that for our hand-eye coordination category. For open-ended, we're using these stacking blocks. He really likes them. They have animals, shapes, patterns, different sides, numbers. So he really likes those. We just kind of stack them right now and he knocks them over and he loves doing that. We started Axel on single shape puzzles. And so we have a circle, triangle, and a square. He really enjoys his open-ended play. Axel's other open-ended toy is his stacking cups. We don't have a science and culture activity right now, so instead we're using this object permanence box, and it's the one with tray, so I guess it's the earlier stage. So he just practices putting that in, and it comes out, and he realizes that it's still there even though he doesn't see it. And I didn't quite know what object permanence was, to be honest with you, when I first started researching Montessori. And I came to find out that object permanence is the understanding that objects do continue to exist even when they cannot be perceived. So it does play an important role in his cognitive development. So he does love playing with that. He kind of misses the hole sometimes, but other times he just kind of pushes it in like that. But he really enjoys it. Be sure to stick around to the end, where we'll show you Axel's top 3 favorite toys or activities on his shelf. For sensorial, we have these sensory balls. They have lots of different textures and lines, and he absolutely loves these. He's actually never rotated these off his shelf because he's always had a lot of interest in those. We really hope that you take away the fact that you can do Montessori anywhere, even in a tiny space. You can see that our son is not missing out on anything. We also don't have a practical life category right now, so instead we're using this pop-up toy. It kind of has these little pegs that are in here, and to my surprise, they just bounce out. So he kind of doesn't do that yet. He also doesn't quite put them in where they go, but for right now he is pulling them out and he is chewing on them, kind of like teethers. So he really enjoys these, and he just pulls them out, plays with them, and then I kind of put them back. So that's kind of why they're set up in this way, and they're not undone, like left in the tray, kind of like this for him to put together right now, because he's not quite there yet. We try to offer a lot of variety in what we give Axel to promote his independent play. For the music category, I put his favorites right now. I do rotate them out with different instruments, but I've got the wooden maracas. Just put a set of 2. 2 of his favorite egg shakers, which we do have different sounding ones, but he loves these right now. And then he loves this tambourine. So those are the ones he plays with most, but we do have like xylophones and other small toys that we can include in here whenever he gets bored of these. So Axel is in a study phase. He is constantly learning, grabbing, exploring everything with his hands. He puts things in his mouth, and he just really takes time with each toy. For our language category, right now we're just using these animal figurines. They're wild animals. He really likes them. I just basically name them off when he grabs them. I'll just say giraffe, lion. I say them whenever he picks them up, or if he's interested in just playing with one. That way he kind of recognizes the naming convention. Later on, we'll probably use cards with pictures that we print off that look like these animals, and we'll probably play like a matching game where you can place it on the card. But for now, he just picks them up, studies them, and plays with them, and he really enjoys them. Lion. You like your lion? So we don't have a math section as of yet. We'll probably work on this as he gets a little bit older, but for now we do have a second hand-eye coordination activity. It's a wooden stacker with rings and cubes. I actually just bought these on Amazon. I'm sure you can get them at any craft store for really, really cheap. And what we do is, this is another activity that he does play with when it's done, like this. He doesn't quite yet know how to put these on. So for now, he just really enjoys taking them off. And another activity that I like to use with it is I just use the little stand that those came on, and I put the rings on them. And he really enjoys taking these off too, and chewing on them. So they're a good teether as well as hand-eye coordination activity for him. So these small cubes are pretty difficult for him right now to put back on the stand. So I got these oversized wooden rings to kind of help him practice doing so. So when we start playtime, I put Axel's books out so he can see all of the covers, but everything else always remains on display. And he's got 10 books out right now, and basically they're just kind of stored under here. And then what I'll do is I'll place them like that around the couch. And so when he's playing and he wants to read, he can come over and pick up a book. So we just have all sorts, doggies, there's baby's first words, a couple of fiction books, but mostly these kind of nonfiction realistic type books that he really enjoys. And they all fit under here, so no added storage. As you can see, we do have activities that are presented in this undone fashion to kind of pique his interest and curiosity in putting it back together. But then you see other times we do have them in the done fashion like this because he's not quite ready developmentally to put them together, but he does enjoy pulling them apart. So we do have a mixture here. Just keep in mind, you want to present activities that are just inviting to your child. So if your child is very different from mine, then just observe them, make those mental notes, and see what activity and presentation calls to your baby or to your toddler. Now keep in mind, you don't have to use what toys or activities that we're using. You don't have to buy them all. You can make a lot of them yourself. We just chose to purchase the ones that we did because it was easier for us, and I am not too creatively inclined, so to speak. So we just chose to do that, but you can also make your own. There's plenty of DIY videos on YouTube. There's also a lot of Pinterest DIY tutorials for you. We try to keep it visually appealing to him and organized because that kind of calls out to him and piques his interest. As promised, these are Axel's top 3 favorite toys on his shelf. So number 1, he absolutely loves these stacking cups. We do all sorts of stuff with them. You can flip them over and then stack them just by number. They have little numbers on them and little shape cutouts. So we do that. Absolutely loves them. Then we also have this number 2, which are his sensory balls. And his 3rd are these little shaker. Like, they make different sounds. He absolutely loves those. They come with more, but we only put a couple out, so it's not too cluttered on his shelf. Now, for those of you who are parents, you know that your child may lose interest in different toys or activities either right away or later. Just depends on the child, the age, and developmental stage that your child is in, whether they've met different milestones or not. So every child is different, but for us, we do a rotational system. So when Axel loses interest in an item for a couple days here or there, and I'm noticing that he's not really paying attention to it much, we go ahead and we rotate that out of the system of his shelving unit. So one thing we do is we either keep that in our ottoman, which has storage in it, or we put it up in the loft above, and it's kind of like a storage / office space. So we do have a tiny bit of space that we allocate to his rotational toys, and that way when he does have interest in them, they're new all over again. But it just might be that he wasn't ready developmentally or age-wise for that item until a little bit later, and so we work that in. We love this couch and ottoman. It has storage in every compartment. We got it from Home Reserve and put it together ourselves. On the other hand, if Axel is very interested in a particular toy or activity, we do keep it on the shelf. It might be on the shelf for weeks, months, days, but as long as he has interest, we go ahead and keep it out there. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and like and subscribe.